Darren and I grew up on the farm drinking well water, so water quality...
That probably explains a lot, right?
No, hey, that explains why we are healthy and why we're doing well, and it also explains why, as farmers, we have to be very concerned about water quality. So today during our Farm Basics time, we're going to talk a little about water quality, what you need to look for, and why farmers and how farmers are doing such a fantastic job making sure that we have nice weed control, we have good yields and all those types of things, but at the same time, we've got good clean water.
Well, water is the real key here. And when you think about farm families, where does their water supply come from? Right underneath their farm. Whether they're in our state or another state, chances are they probably have a well right on the farm. Now that's the same well that their livestock get water from, and that they use water through their sprayers and potentially irrigation if they have irrigation on their farm. They want that water supply to be good. They're heavily invested in it. In fact, living right on the farm, your health depends on it too.
Okay, there are two big things that we look at for water quality, and the two big issues that we have in the United States today are number one, nitrate, number two, phosphorus. And I really should move that number two now up to number one. The phosphorus has become the much bigger water quality problem. How does phosphorus get into water? How does it get into a lake or a river or a stream? It gets in typically with soil erosion. Phosphorus doesn't move in soil, but what can happen is if the soil moves, well, then it carries phosphorus with it. So what I'm trying to say here is you're not going to find phosphorus leaching down, getting in tile lines or anything like that. That's not happening. Phosphorus is not typically getting in our groundwater, but it is getting into lakes, rivers, and streams because of soil erosion. So if as farmers we simply reduce soil erosion and we inject our phosphorus a little bit deeper than laying it on the soil surface, we have pretty much solved that problem.
Well, there are a lot of ways farmers are reducing phosphorus getting into the river. You look at riparian areas around streams and waterways, trying to catch anything that may be coming off the field. But I still look at rivers, and when you fly over rivers, you see exactly what I'm talking about here. Rivers are moving all the time. They're cutting into the riverbanks, and soil falls into the river. That has nothing to do with farmers, but it's going to happen naturally. So there's always going to be some level of phosphorus and soil moving into that river, whether it comes from a farm or not.
All right, let's talk about nitrogen. The leachable form of nitrogen is called nitrate. The drinking water standard in the United States is 10 parts per million of nitrate nitrogen. So as long as the level is below 10, you've got drinking water quality. By the way, in terms of what we as adults can handle for nitrate, it's way more than 10 parts per million. The only reason it's that low is because of babies, and it's even below the level that babies can handle. So just understand, 10 parts per million, that's real safe. Now, when I say that, I just want you to understand, hey, in almost all water, there's going to be a little bit of nitrate there. Don't get too worried about it. What you're going to find typically is 1 part per million, 3 parts per million, 8 parts per million, something like that. It's still within the drinking water tolerances.
Well, don't forget what's in the air that you're breathing every day. Most of it is nitrogen.
Yep.
So nitrogen's not the most dangerous nutrient out there that you're going to see, but it is one that we want to keep in check in our waters.
Yeah, absolutely. So what farmers are doing to reduce the amount of nitrate in the water is they're raising really good crops. We can also talk about tile, and people get concerned, oh, the nitrate's going to leach into the tile and that's going to go into the river. As farmers, the last thing we want to have happen is any nutrient that we had to spend money on get down into the water. So we don't see that around the country all that much. What farmers are doing is learning their soils better, applying nitrogen based on their soil type and soil texture, and then split applying the nitrogen. So by doing all these practices, we're finding less and less nitrate in the water all the time.
Water quality is super important to farmers for many, many reasons, but so is weed control. We'll show you how to stop this tough weed later in the show.